Okay, let's talk about the proper trigger pull. I told each shooter to shoot 2 3-round bursts as fast as they could, but also to try and control the trigger as best as they could as well. Our first shooter here starts off in the crack of the first joint on his finger, and he starts to creep into the second pad, doing what I call a booger hook trigger pull. That's a common mistake made by people trying to fire as fast as they can. Our second shooter here just goes full booger hook trigger pull. He's trying to shoot that thing as fast as he can. And when you hook and jerk that trigger like that and take your finger off the trigger with each trigger pull, you end up moving the whole rifle as you're firing. So you're decreasing your accuracy. Now our third shooter starts off really good, putting the first pad of his trigger finger on the trigger. But then right before he starts to pull it, he starts to creep and he ends up putting it in the crack of the first joint. And again, he pulls his trigger finger completely off the trigger. Now our fourth shooter is my machinist friend, and he starts off pretty good. Now he's used to his milsurp rifles, but he keeps the trigger on the back of that first pad into the crack of that first joint on his trigger finger. And again, because he's trying to shoot as fast as he can, he pulls his finger completely off the trigger. You want to keep your finger on the trigger the whole time. That's why it's called trigger control. Next up is my friend Chris, and although he's shooting it pretty fast, he's still taking his finger completely off the trigger, and he's got it in the crack of that first joint, if not on the second pad of his finger, doing a mild booger hook. Even though he's shooting fast, he's jerking that whole rifle, and his accuracy will suffer for it. Hey, the last shooter's me. And I always try to stay aware of my trigger pull as I'm pulling the trigger, as any shooter should. Shooter should, it's kind of like a tongue twister. Anyways, I keep the first pad of my finger on that trigger. And at no time does my finger come off of that trigger unless I'm done and putting it on safe, as I am at the end here. Now, I'm not a pro, but I think my trigger pull is pretty decent. Well, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you thought it was good, give it a like and subscribe.